and something awesome happened. Something I didn't even realize would happen. Oh my God. It's all it takes. It's all it takes. This is a monumental moment in this experience for me. Hello, ballers! Welcome back to the Newbie Project. We have Keystone Master. Oh, get in there was what I would like to tell you. I would like to tell you that we fought tooth and nail, and maybe based on the last video, we did. But in many ways, it was spectacularly unrewarding for me. I think contextually, if I was a new player and I'd hit Keystone Master, I'd be fucking yes, regardless of the circumstances. But as somebody who's done a lot of Mythic 15s, I was expecting a feeling of we did it, because this is one of our two main challenges done. How did it happen? The same way it probably happens for a lot of people in this situation that we're putting ourselves through right now. Is it just so happened that some guys from our guild were looking to get their weekly 15 done. Does that mean I was carried? No, not at all. As you can see, I more than pulled my weight in the dungeon and was totally up there. But it was just a case of I ended up playing with guys who knew what to do in the dungeon, which was holding us back in every other dungeon we did. It only takes, in a group of 5, it only takes 1 or 2, and particularly just 1, to not understand what's happening to make the odds from doable to not doable at all. Now, I would like to tell you as well, I would like to tell you that for those of you who are trying to get this done and have set this goal for yourself, or are hoping that this will alleviate a lot of the pain that you suffer through, as we did in the last video, to get here, that once you achieve this and you have this on record and you have your name stamped on it, even as though we did it in one of the hardest weeks to do it, I believe, in the pug world, that the pearly gates, they opened wide, the golden key was given to us, and a lot of our pain would be alleviated. And I'm happy and unhappy. I'm happy because I suspected this, but also unhappy for those who are aiming for this, to say that that is absolutely 100% not the case. It doesn't help you at all in any way, shape or form, because that's not the world we live in this solo player environment. Yes, people will say things like, must have Keystone Master. I saw it hundreds of times. So after attaining Keystone Master, I tried to use my newfound glory to get me into dungeons. Nothing. Not a thing. Didn't help at all. No one gave a shit. It comes down to we're still in this item level race. That's it. It doesn't matter what achievements you've got. These guys asking for curve. If I was to link a character that was 960 with no curve, I would instantly get an invite. It doesn't matter. You've got to remember, a lot of the people who are even writing these paragraphs of text that we see in the group finder of what we're going to do, we're going to check you out, we're going to research your family history, we want a DNA sample, all this ridiculous stuff. It's all a lie. Most of the guys running these groups actually really don't have much of a clue. They probably just worked up the braveness, or, you know, they worked up the stones to start a group, and that's as far as they really wanted to go. And they've seen these comments typed time and time again, so that's what you type to try and attract good players, right? Linking curve will dissuade a huge amount of people, much in the same way a guild application does. If you've got somebody who's completely and utterly self-absorbed, selfish, only cares about joining a guild to get what they want out of it, as soon as you put some sort of barrier to entry, be it a guild application form or saying you need curve, that's enough to turn those guys away, because that group's full of cunts and things like that, right? The reality is people just want geared players, because hopefully they'll do okay. That's it. That's the end of the story. So I couldn't even get into a 12 with Keystone Master. So I tried 15s, nothing. 14s, nothing. 13, nothing. 12, nothing. And it just was not the case. It would help me no end. So it's something you will pick up naturally. So don't be too dissuaded. And as I said in the previous video, it wasn't a total lost cause, even with all those failures. I learned a lot more about playing Affliction. I got better at Affliction. I pushed my DPS by about 200k without my gear changing, simply by practicing and trying to push myself, trying to motivate myself to do things a little bit better, to do things even to make my character even better. So when I do get gear, it's even more substantial. My contribution to the group is even greater because I'm playing that much better. Am I the best affliction lock in the world? Not even by a long shot, not even close. But I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I keep trying different things. So a lot of people in the previous video, there was a lot of various comments about different things. One of them was about time investment and pushing themselves. Like, I've been playing for months, Preacher, and I can't get where you're going. It's about how you use your time. I used every trash pull. Every single trash pull to tweak and modify how I press my spells, how I use things. Do I refresh dots here? Do I not? I kept trying and trying and trying and trying because I'm in the environment. I'm trying to do things. But it's like going to the gym. Just because someone's been going to the gym for a year, and they can have little to no progress because while they're in that environment, they're not doing enough, they're not pushing themselves, not trying harder. Whereas somebody else goes for a far shorter period of time, but pushes themselves heavily, sticks to discipline and tries, and really puts the effort in, and they have massive results very quickly. This is no different. You've got to learn and you've got to try. So we were stuck again. We have this 936 Warlock that is now a Keystone Master, which doesn't help us one little bit. Doesn't help us at all. And we've got another challenge to overcome. And this got me thinking, and we need some feedback on this, because we did do some more things after this, is... I'm not happy with Keystone Master on this character. It doesn't make a difference. It's not what we need. What we need is a character that can do whatever it wants to do. That's what we're after. Now, the next logical step before that is curves, to get curve, right? Now, surprisingly, getting into heroic groups wasn't that hard. The problem was getting into any group that could kill a boss. That was the difficulty. So I joined 4 heroic groups, and only one of them managed to start a boss. The rest of them fell apart as I was joining. I joined several groups that just fell apart while I was like invited as people were leaving, and then it just fell apart. One of them stood in front of the boss and died so quickly. It was pretty crazy. And this is where we have an enlightenment moment for many people, because we very much live in the game where it's now, I want now, I'm good enough, blah, 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 me, this selfish attitude, as we well know. But there's also got to be a realization at some point that you don't deserve, like if I was a new player, right? If I was a new player and I've just made this character, I certainly do not deserve to be in a heroic farm one-shot everything group. I don't deserve to be there. And not only that, on this character, very difficult for a lot of people to accept, is I will not contribute a great deal to that dungeon. I will do some damage. And after reading about the Master Looter stuff recently, there is a really fixed mentality that if I am a part of a group that the boss dies in, I deserve to be there. That is absolutely not the case. That is absolutely not the case. I know, as good as I can play, that with my character, I'll kill the bosses and it'll take a long time. But I'm likely not to be the biggest contributor because I simply do not have the firepower. I simply do not have the firepower to be in an upper echelon group, which is the smash farm everything groups. And that's where people want to be. They don't want to be in this group where they probably need to work their way to it. They actually just want to be in the group that goes in and is out within an hour. They go and start in, they just go and everything dies. Frankly, you don't deserve to be there. You're not ready for that yet. That's not where you're supposed to be. Those guys are there for a reason. In most cases. So we were kind of stuck. It's like, what do we do? We can't get into Mythic Plus as and when we please. And we can get into heroics, but they're terrible heroic groups. What do we do? Well, I had some options. One is, do we change the goalposts of this challenge to the point where I think realistically 945, 950 is where you can pretty much do what you want most of the time without issue. And I actually do not believe that is difficult to get. Do we change it to there? Because as much as we can get curve, I could go into... Let me give you an example, okay? So, yes, I have Keystone Master. It hasn't helped me. And I could maybe, just by spamming group invites, get into a group that just kills Argus Heroic for trinket upgrades. Or for chances at Amanthools, things like that. And then I could come and make a video that says, I have curve now, ha ha ha. But a lot of it's going to be down to luck. Now, luck is fine. Luck is generated by yourself. You make your own luck. So if I keep spamming groups over and over again, chances are I'm probably going to get into one. That's why I got into heroic groups like I did. And if I keep spamming, especially as it's Tuesday and resets tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of heroic groups right now that are just trying to get the dungeon done. Not really asked who comes along at a certain point. You'll take whatever just to get the dungeon done. So do we move and set ourselves like a goal where we can... I would like to reach a point with this project where I log in on this character and I say I want to get my Mythic 15 done, and that's where we are. I want to join Heroic Cantorus and I'm done. I think that might be the more realistic achievement people actually want. Like, on the face of it, it might be like, I need to get Curve and then the Golden Gates will open. I need to get Keystone Master and then the Golden Gates will open. The reality is that's unlikely to be the case. Curve will be different, but in terms of everything else, not really. But I'll let you guys decide on whether we just want to get Curve and get it over and done with, or whether we want to see what we can do. Before the reset then, I had some choices to make. Mythic Plus, rewarding nothing. A lot of time invested, very little reward. But I realized that I still had some normal bosses to kill. So if you remember, we have killed Argus normal on this character already, but we started at Varamathras, which meant there was plenty of normal mode bosses left. Okay, maybe it's time we had a look at that. And something awesome happened. Something I didn't even realize would happen. Oh my god, is doing the Mythic Plus and just edging ourselves up that little bit. We're still like 936. That was more than enough for normal mode groups. That was fine. Unknowingly, we had crossed certain barriers. So we have these barriers to entry, which are purely item level based. As ridiculous as that sounds to raiders, I know, they're purely item level based. And once you cross into that barrier, that's when it opens. And unknowing to me, these Golden Gates had opened to normal raids. They had opened for me. It's normal raids are wide open for me to walk into. So every normal mode I signed up to, I was invited. So that was our next logical step. Let's clear all of Antorus. Let's get that done. So I ended up in groups, and this is where something really positive happened for me. And I really want to share this message because it reiterated so much about what I've been telling you guys. So I got into a group that was at ENR. And I've got to admit, I was a little wary. I was like, I'm not really sure what my firepower is like in a raid bossing scenario. And this is a big problem in WoW, in my opinion. You don't get to DPS raid bosses enough. Even world bosses die way too quickly. They die way too quickly due to practice and learn how to effectively work with a boss that's not going to fall down very quickly. And therefore, people don't know how to handle it, don't know how to position themselves, certainly don't know how to set up for certain areas, right? We've spent years teaching people how to do that at this point. But in practice in the game, that never happens until you're actually in a relevant contextual raid. So even ENR, I was like, I don't know what to do. So what I did, this is what I recommend to you guys if you're not 100% sure on every talent you should use, is I opened Warcraft logs, I went to Heroic ENR, and I just checked, what are the Warlocks using? I had a like 99% idea of what talents and stuff I was supposed to be using, but I just double checked it. Every single Warlock's using the same talent cell. Cool, I'm going to go with that. Changed my talents to that, and was #1 on the damage. Feeling really confident now, feeling really happy. This was, obviously it's ENR, it's not exactly difficult, but still, we got the job done, and I felt really good. My name was at the top of the board, all that practice came in clutch, and by mixing these little strategies like just check what talents I'm supposed to use, I've got a resource that is freely available that I can check, and and just following decent raid leadership instructions, honestly, about where to go. we were rocking it. We're never getting kicked from this group. Not happening. You know what I mean? It's not happening. We just proved ourselves straight away, right? So it doesn't matter that everybody around me was a higher item level. I also want to get rid of this idea that it's people have been going, well, you're only getting raid invites for being a warlock. I was neither the first nor the only warlock in any of these raids until the very, very end. But it didn't start that way. You'll see. You'll see. So worked through ENR and then went to Bridgebro. Got that done, did exactly what I knew, very comfortable with the fight, very easy on normal mode, and just looked after myself, didn't want to die. I was more aware of dying, because I'm aware that a lot of people who are bad at the game will just look at a damage meter, and therefore, you know, the best way of countering things was to just look here. And it was noticed. People were checking me, and they were like, you're doing good damage. But, of course, after that, we then got to Kingaroth, and this is where I really started to... people took notice of this character, and obviously the name has changed, so it's not like people were suspecting it was me or anything like that, but I was, again, the top of the damages everybody wiped. But, again, I do have a lot of experience with Kingaroth on Mythic, so normal mode ain't a big deal to me, I understand that. But everything needs practice, right? Everything needs practice and working on it. So we did, we wiped and then got that done. But now I don't want to stay for the rest of the dungeon, so I said I've got to leave. And got a whisper that was like, why are you leaving? Because the raid leader was like, please stay, essentially, right? I was like, I'm sorry, I'm safe for the rest of the bosses. Like, oh, okay, hit me up next week. That's all it takes. It's all it takes. It wasn't just because I was top of the damage, or maybe it was, but I was only top of the damage. I was certainly not the best geared there. I was only top of the damage because I didn't die. That was it. I know the ads take extra damage when they spawn, which isn't something that's like some mystery to be uncovered. That's easy knowledge to pick up anywhere. And I took notice there. I then needed the other 4 bosses, so I had to go to Antorus Noble 3 times. And I'm just going to intersect this by saying one of the biggest eye-opening things that I've had throughout this experience is just how much time and inefficiency playing like this is. And I reiterate every video, but it's so important. It's like, if you value your time in any way, shape, or form, this is just atrocious. Don't do this. Don't play like this, because it's such a waste of time for very little gain. Either way, let's look for a fresh group. It's quite difficult to find a fresh group, because obviously I didn't want to do like a 4th Antorus normal. And ended up in what I'm talking about with Heroic was a group that was paying its dues. And paying its dues is something that absolutely exists. And a lot of people don't like that. Certainly in video games. They want to skip to the end. They want to get to the end bit. They want the now attitude. I want to be in the farm Zerg run. I don't want to be in the paying your dues run. But you deserve and belong in the paying your dues run. I do not belong in this character on the one-shot smash Zerg everything group. No, I don't belong there. So I ended up in a paying your dues group. And you can see by the damage meter what I mean by that. And this was the guys who, like many, who were learning how to do normal. It's the longest, in many ways, and I think this gets discounted, is if I play with my guild, normal mode bosses are going to die before I can do like 2 cooldowns, right? They're just going to melt. And if I do it on stream, it's the same thing. If I do it when I raid, we raid super fast. And if you've ever seen one of our stream raids, I get angry if when a boss dies, the tanks aren't already speeding to pull the trash. I don't want to be in there any longer than necessary. Again, efficiency. Get their Zerg, get their kill, because we're only after the rewards. We're not learning anything. This was the longest Garrothi World Breaker I've ever been in my life, and that includes Mythic. That includes Mythic, and this is the kind of group we were in. But I was okay with it. I don't think many people would be, but I was like, I belonged here. This is where I belong. I've never killed this boss on this character. This is where I'm supposed to be in real terms on this character. I'm supposed to be in a group that's dealing with this. And it was one of those groups where there was a warning. We're going to check your DPS after this and see what's happening. Okay. It was also all the cliches you'd expect. As soon as the boss died, people left. And it was a weird setup. It was a 10-man setup. So it was two tanks, 3 healers, 5 DPS. Oh, man. It was a real crazy situation. But as being one of the top damage dealers again, it was like I was cemented. I was good to go as long as the run could cohesively stay together. But our leader was pretty awesome, actually. Just instantly found new people, got them in. We managed to get to Fellhound's wipe, which was pretty interesting. It's very difficult for me. But now I see it. Like, I have a newfound appreciation for how difficult some bosses are in a pug now. Like, there's no way of getting around that. But to watch people be told something, like, group with Shadow, spread with Fire, right? It should be pretty easy to remember. And then seeing the Shadow debuffs go out on the dogs and everybody spread out and die. It was pretty funny. For me, it's pretty funny. I was like, what the fuck? What am I in for here? And then the tank's not spreading the bosses and things like that, and it led to a wipe. And loads of people left. And I was just like, fuck me, I'm going to find another group here. Going around. And again, time wasted, time invested. So I would say I could look at the times on the clock. So check the times on the clock if I'm out here. But I think doing the first up to Portal Keeper, so that's Garrothi, Fellhounds, High Command, Portal Keeper, right? The first 4 bosses in Antorus took about 3 hours. let me get a gauge reaction. Andy,
yo,
the first 4 bosses in Antorus normal took me 3 hours.
Wow. That's like 1 mechanic each boss.
It was a pretty weird experience, but enlightening nonetheless. Again, paying your dues. I deserved to be there. And You know, I'm learning the fights. You could compare it to me. I'm here learning the fights. Because I was the quickest to like res people if they died and things like that, the raid leader took a notice of me and started referring to me by name. This is a monumental moment in this experience for me. This is really monumental. Until this point, I was Locke. Now I was Leonis. And they were speaking to me by name, as were other members of the raid. There was thank you, Leonis. Not like Locke's, you know, Locke Hellstone, summon Locke, things like that. It was by name. That's a big deal. It's a really big deal in this game. Just ask yourselves right now how many times you've been referred to by your character name recently, outside of guildies. I bet it's not many. I bet it's not many. And again, it was just what I'd done and being aware of these things that made people take notice. To the point where on high command, I was asked. People can tell when you've got somebody decent there. They can tell. You might not think it, but they can absolutely tell. It's like, Leonis, can you do the pods? I was like, sure. I can do the pods. Now, some of you might see this as cheating, but I'd already established myself before this point. Pods are 2 buttons. I don't consider it cheating to manage 2 buttons. And if it's something you're afraid of, just watch a video. Or if you're really worried about having to do a task like that. I basically became the volunteer. I followed my own advice that I've taught to you guys, and it works. And I'm so happy that it works. Completely works. Did the pods. It did 2 full circles of the room on high command. It's just really weird because I've done the pods many times. I've done the pods on normal, heroic, and mythic many times. And I'd never been able to replace Fell Shield generators while they were still the ones up. So I was like running out of room. I'm like, well, I've got nowhere else to put them. My usual spots are all taken. Oh man, it was pretty funny. And eventually worked our way up to Portal Keeper, where the Portal Keeper died. And that was time for me to call it a day there. Like, I was done. I'm saved to everything else. And left them behind. And again, got another message like, do you want to do it again next week? Please, you know, like, I said, I'm sorry, I'm saved for the rest of the things. I've got to go. And that's when the message came. Is like, you know, can we put on... I was asked if I could be on Battle Swag. And I think for the sake of this entire thing, I said no. I said, no, it's okay. He says, like, look out for me next week. That's where we are. So we finished up 939, which means it's reset tomorrow. I could push tonight to get a curve. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm on the fence about trying to, again, avoid excuse makers and stuff. We're not speedrunning this thing. In fact, most of this project has involved me sitting staring at group finder queues for a long period of time. There's huge amounts of downtime where you're just not doing anything. And I've been going out of my way to find things to do in the meantime. But part of that difficulty has been not being able to fly. So I can't get to... If I wait and chill and go and do world quests or something, I can't get back to the dungeons quick enough. Which is really irritating because I have to ride my mount everywhere and use my flight whistle and then try and use a flight point to get to where I need to be if my Hearthstones are on cooldown. But this is... So I'm wary of what to do for the next reset, because I think I could sneak into a heroic group tonight that just wants to get Argus done before the end of the week. I don't think that satisfies our criteria, which is where I need your feedback. Like, where do we go from here? What are we aiming for? I think I'd like to think that you guys would support the idea of aiming for a character that can do whatever the hell it wants. And the only thing it can't do, because we're not joining a guild or whatever, is go mythic raiding. But if we wanted to, we absolutely could. I think that might be a better goal. I'm not even sure curve is... I'd be interested to see. I'm not discounting how powerful having the curve achievement might be. But based on the Keystone Master, I think if it accompanies a relatively low item level, it's still not enough. You're going to be judged as either boosted, carried, bought it, things like that. So I'll be interested to see what you guys think we should do. But ultimately, our first week is essentially concluded now. Our first week is done. What is our results after the first week? Let me open this character sheet in front of me and let's remember where we are as it stands. Our character in 1 week of play, the slash played, again, huge amounts of downtime, has been 2 days. 2 days, 1 hour. Ridiculous amounts of downtime, by the way. I'm not exaggerating. Is 939. 939 has 0 friends on Battle.net, has 1, 2, 4 legendary items. We have the Hood of Eternal Disdain that we got from the Emissary quests. We have Norganon's Foresight we got from the Halls of Valor. We have the ring from killing Argus, and we also have the Reap and Sow cloak, which we purchased with Awakening Essences. So 2 days played, we have 4 legendary items. We have Mythic 15 complete, we have Keystone Master, we have Normal and Taurus completely done, every single boss is dead. We are more than pulling our weight in every piece of content that we have done so far. The only thing we're missing from the original goals of this challenge are ahead of the curve, which we may get before reset, maybe not. But what I'm interested in is if we leave this for a couple more days, is tomorrow with the Mythic Plus cash, we're easily going to break over 940. Regardless of what it is, we're going to smash over 940 because I have no items that are even close to 960. The highest item level item I have is a 935 pair of legs, which are Mythic 11 Titan Forged. Everything else is either 910. Oh, another thing milestone we hit was everything that we can get from Relinquished, we have. There's nothing less than 910. That was done extremely quickly, by the way. If you want to gear relatively quickly and fill in gaps, Relinquished is great. You can get 2 items a day, really easy. And another thing that we solved was the financial crisis. So, on a finishing note here, I was down to 100 gold yesterday. I was down to 100 gold. And I needed to make money. So I was like, I can either go and do a Circle of World quest for gold and maybe do the heroic dungeons, which give like 700 gold if they've got a quest associated to them. But all I did to fix my financial situation was look in my bags at what I'd collected while doing the other stuff. And I had Bloods of Sargeras and Primal Sargerite, and I just put them on the auction house. I bought Starlight Rose with the Blood of Sargeras, and put them up. That was 4,000, nearly 4,000 gold alone. Turning my Bloods into Starlight Rose was 4,000 golds within a couple of hours. And I bought gems with the Primal Sargerite. I bought orange gems. They were the most expensive at the time. And then sold them in the auction house. And now I'm over 10,000 gold and my financial worries are over. Easy as that. Easy as that. I just looked at what was in my bag that I absolutely do not need. Sold everything. Put it on the, if I could put it on the auction house, I would. I now have plenty of flasks, plenty of food, plenty of potions, loads of tomes for respecking. Warlocks respec a lot when they're raiding. And I'm in a good place. I'm in a really good place. So that's where we finished up today. Much more positive than last time, beside the Keystone Master. But we're in a good place, guys. This is actually, we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We just need to go a couple more steps, I think, and then we're done. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.